Hi, guys, and welcome to this edition of Meet the Regions. I'm so delighted to be here with you. And before we get started and I introduce my guests, I wanted to remind everyone who's watching this there is a ton of stuff coming up in the Free State very soon. The most exciting is this Get to Know New Hampshire weekend that's coming up in October. So, Columbus Day weekend. We're kind of calling it Discover New Hampshire. And really, the secret is the best time of the year in New Hampshire is the fall. Literally, the trees turn to candy, and everyone should come visit us then. So it's the best time of year. Every day is, of course, a delight in the Free State, but the fall is the best. So I would love to invite everyone to come. You can find more information at porcupinerealestate.com. And if you go to Get to Know New Hampshire, that'll put you in where the details are on the schedule and all of that. But today we are talking to some of my favorite activists and my favorite people who happen to live in the same region as I do. So today for Meet the Regions, where we'll be talking about the Merrimack Valley, is the lovely Melissa Cream and her husband, who's also lovely, but not
It's all
quite,
right.
Jeffrey Cream. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi.
Great, thanks.
Thank you so much for joining me. And you guys are down in Nashua, correct?
That's
Correct.
right.
Yes.
Yep, we've been in Nashua for like 30 years, so.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, you guys are kind of predate,
Yep.
Yep.
you've been here a long time and that's amazing because that is, what the Granite State's about, right? Like these people who live here and who truly value what this state is about. Our other guest tonight is Patrick Binder, also known as the Mayor of Manchester. Hi, Patrick.
Hello, Carla. Thanks for having me on here.
Sure. And you, obviously, if you are going to be the mayor of Manchester, you hail from.
Manchester, yes, I live in Manchester for the last 6 years, 6+ years now. Only a few blocks from you on the west side here, and I enjoy everything it has to offer.
Wonderful. So we have some guests joining us. And of course, as you do, feel free to just drop questions in and let us know. We'll be happy to answer them as they come up. Really, the goal of this webinar is to really help people who don't live in New Hampshire yet to get a real sense and flavor of the different regions. Because one of the things I was pretty surprised about is how different really some different towns are. Like Manchester and Nashua are actually kind of different animals. So as we get the slideshow going, we'll see here these are the different regions of New Hampshire. So of course we have the North Country, the Lakes, Upper Valley, Monadnock, Merrimack Valley, and the Free Coast or the Sea Coast. And so we'll be talking today about the Merrimack Valley, which, as you can see on your screens, there is sort of that red little region. It really is the most central part of New Hampshire. So let's take a look here. I'm going to let you guys maybe start, and why don't you, the Creams, start with what do you love about Nashua? Like why there?
It's a great question because obviously we've lived here a long time, and we certainly like it because of it's centrally located. We always sort of say like we'd like to live out in the middle of nowhere, but also like 5 minutes away from everything. And so you can't always get everything you want. And so we have sort of opted for being close to things. And so Nashua is great. It's a big city for New Hampshire, which means it's a tiny city. But even within in Nashua, you've got a central downtown area, you've got like a shopping area, but there's places to go. Just in the heart of downtown is Mine Falls Park, which is a huge park where you can go mountain biking or hiking and walking, rail trails and things. So I think we really, to sum it up, I think we like it because we're lazy people. We don't like a long commute, and everything's really close to us, and it's really kind of hard to beat that.
And what I really like too is that Nashua, if I want to go into Boston's like an hour, the Seacoast is an hour, Concord is an hour, skiing, Crotchet Mountain is an hour. So I'm central to anything I might want to do. It's not really all that far, but yet when I'm living in the city of Nashua, I have the opportunity for within 5 minutes to be in Mine Falls and go for a run or go mountain biking. I can go to Wildcat Falls in Merrimack. There's a variety of like nature things I can do right in my backyard. And then there's city things, like Sky Venture, where I can go and surf in the biggest, pool. I can, I don't know, there's all kinds of skydive. I can go bowling. I can do a lot of the stuff that you consider a city thing. And there's a theater. So it's, there's that kind of culture too. So to me, it hits all the best of everything.
Do you guys have a sense what's the population of Nashua?
I think it's like 90,000 at this point, maybe 95,000.
Oh, wow. So it's actually starting to chomp a little bit on the heels of Manchester, because I assume the mayor of Manchester knows how big Manchester is.
Like
Well,
115, somewhere
Yeah.
around that.
So it's about 115,000, so maybe for folks who don't know, you moved from San Diego to here. So maybe like compare and contrast a little bit, like what Manch is like
Yeah,
compared
so similar to what Jeffrey was saying of like, when we moved, we thought, oh, we'll move out into the middle of nowhere. And then we're like, well, middle of nowhere in New Hampshire is actually like really the middle of nowhere. So Manchester was actually pretty middle of nowhere for us, coming from the San Diego, LA metro area, 25 million people. It's, there's 110,000 people. I go 5 minutes in let's call it 10 minutes in any direction. And I'm in the woods for sure. I'm on a rail trail, or I'm on a lake or even just our river park down the street, where you don't see the city anymore because it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many acres the river park is, but it's big enough where you don't know you're in the middle of the city when you're in it. And that's kind of how a lot of New Hampshire feels, is like you're in a populated area, but within minutes you're out of it and you're back into what feels like, to me, coming from Southern California, it feels very rural.
Yeah, that was something, honestly, when we moved from New York City, and of course I moved in 2008, so like I'm an old timer by this stage, but I remember also having this fantasy of, oh, I want to live rurally and everything. But then I realized, well, you don't actually have to be in the boonies, where, true story, I got into a fight with the Hannafords, which was the closest grocery store to me at the time when I was living in the Upper Valley. And it was like 30 minutes away. And it wasn't anything I'd done other than they didn't want to sell me booze because the person who was with me looked underage, even though she was like 26. And I remember being like, I wanted to say, I will never shop here again. And as I started, I was like, you can't say that.
The grocery store.
Rural, it's rural.
Yeah.
So yeah, I too really love this thing where it's like you're in the city, you can get your DoorDash if you want, you can get your Thai food or your Indian food, all of that stuff. But also you can literally go 5 minutes and just really have an incredible quality of living. I see our next slide actually talks a little bit about culture and community. Is there some sense of something you would define as Nashua or the Merrimack Valley in terms of the culture? I mean, I know you guys have that art center opening up, right?
Yeah, so we have the Performing Arts Center, which is, in downtown Nashua. I haven't been there yet. I think it just opened in May of this year. It's fairly new. So, I mean, our downtown is, it's a small downtown. It's nice, but as far as what defines Nashua, I mean, I guess we are called the Gate City. So we're right on the border with Massachusetts. The next town you're in Massachusetts from Nashua. So I guess that's how I would kind of define us, as we are a gate city. You do see a lot of Massachusetts license plates around Nashua.
We stand at the gate and try to keep the.
Yeah, I was going to say we might have to change that to the Wall City.
Yeah,
City. They could keep their big government policies back there in Mass.
Yeah. In fact, there's actually our primary big mall in Nashua is right on the border with Massachusetts. In fact, part of the parking lot is in Massachusetts, and if you ever go there, there's one of the stores that's right there has like a weird corner cut off of it. And it's because it was like over the border enough in Massachusetts, they wanted to collect, sales tax or taxes from them. So they chopped it off. But I don't even like to go around that side of the mall because I don't want to accidentally end up in Massachusetts. I can avoid it.
You're like, oh no, I'm carrying in the wrong state here.
Almost.
There was actually a suggestion years ago. I think it, was more playful, but there was talk up at the State House of putting up signs sort of on all the roads that go into Massachusetts, saying something like, "You're now leaving a, constitutionally protected zone and going into the empire."
And those signs would have been privately funded, by the way, because the bill didn't want to increase the fees for the taxpayers. But it didn't
Oh,
pass.
wow.
And honestly, it
Man,
really
we're
would
so
have been
solid
great.
here. How about you,
We kind of
Patrick?
need that.
Right?
And Patrick,
Sorry, I
what
didn't mean
about
to
you?
interrupt you. Go ahead.
No,
Culture and
it's just,
community, Patrick.
yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of culture in a city like Manchester, in the sense that we have museums and like the Mill Museum's fun, Carrier Art Museum's fun, and top quality, both of them. They're really nice, and lots of things for the Sea Science Center, things like that for families and children that people from all around here come to go to those things. But I do think Manchester, as part of my mayoral platform, and it's something that they're doing anyways. They're trying to rebrand Manchester right now. The city's hiring PR people and stuff like this, marketers, to try to rebrand the city. And I think it does need like a little bit of branding. I would like to see it focused on the rivers. We have two beautiful rivers that flow through the city. That is something like, if you go up to Franklin, their motto is the city of three rivers. There's really only two, but they fudge the third one. But like, so two rivers, city of two rivers is not taken because they call theirs the city of three rivers. But I would really love to see Manchester I love the rivers. I kayak them, I tube them, I fish them. I'm gonna get a pontoon boat this next year, and I'm gonna be boating on them. And it's, to me, that's a huge part of what I do. With my community and my family culture, is we really enjoy the local outdoors right here.
Yeah,
And actually,
maybe last note on community, of course, is for those of us who are in the Free Stater community, we do have in Manchester, we have the Quill where you serve, I believe,
Oh,
right?
of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So tell people about that.
I was thinking more greater community
Right.
stuff, but then I
No,
focused
of
on my
course.
family. But yes, we have a great Free Stater community here. Definitely the largest concentration of, I would say, concentration of libertarians and Free Staters, I don't know, in the world, maybe.
Probably in the world, yeah.
Probably. Like, there's a few hundred of us that live in Manchester, with, I don't know, probably over 100 in West Manchester. Within just a few blocks of me, I can count like 12 or so, it's within like 3 blocks. And so that's always really nice, just knowing that people are there, that they're close, that if I want to go to my friend's house, I can walk there, ride my bike. And then we have a community center called the Quill, which has been around since 2010 as a libertarian clubhouse. I've been a member since I moved, and it's just a good resource, especially when you're a new mover and you're, maybe you're looking to buy, like I was, but I was renting an apartment, and my apartment didn't have much of a living room, not someplace I would want to entertain in. And so we at least, we had the clubhouse to be able to go there and enjoy what is basically a shared living room. We got couches and a movie theater and stuff like that there. And, I find myself there at least once a week. And, but there's stuff going on every day. As I see, the slide that's up right now is the calendar, which I can't read everything, but I'm sure some good percentage of those are happening at the Quill.
Right. And for folks following along back home, that is actually fsp.org/calendar. We make a real effort with the Free State Project to actually keep that up to date and to actually monitor and try and be like, don't put crap on there if it's not going to happen. And so Chris Lopez, who does a lot of our sort of onboarding and helping folks come here, really does. It's part of her tasks is to make sure that calendar stays up to date. So it's a wonderful resource for folks. If you're sort of new, or like many of us, I certainly, when I started contemplating moving for the Free State Project, we would come up to our annual events, Pork Fest, Porcupine Freedom Festival, which we all know, of course, that's in June, Liberty Forum, which will actually be in Nashua. We've come full circle.
Back where it belongs.
Yeah, so that's kind of nice. That was where I attended my first Liberty Forum. So we have these events, but then also Louis and I, my husband and I, like to come and just sort of explore the state ourselves, right? Like, so you're part of a community, but you're also choosing where you're going to live and where you're going to kind of put your human action and come build a life. And so we like to sort of go around and maybe dip in, dip out. And the FSP calendar is really good for that. You could come for a whole weekend, let's say for Discover New Hampshire weekend, right? Get to know New Hampshire and be like, well, I'm just going to go to the apple picking and the corn maze, right? And just do that and then not do the other things. So yes, I think the calendar is a really, really great resource for everyone.
Yeah, and actually I'll just add, like, on Sunday nights, like, we run Nashville Liberty, pretty much every week, unless we're away, in which case we cancel it from the calendar. But we're running that at the same time that's going on. There's another event going on in Manchester, which is like 20 minutes away. There's one going on the seacoast. There's one out in Keene. So Sunday nights are usually a very busy night for events. So
yeah, and actually tell folks about that. So that's the Liberty meetup in Nashua. I think you guys, you much like Kurt needs an award for all the move-in parties he's done, like you two need several awards, but tell us about the social.
Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, Nashua Liberty, we meet every Sunday night, like Jeff was saying. The location varies, so you do need to check the FSP calendar to find out where it's going to be. But usually on Sunday morning, Jeff is updating. We decide together, where are we going to meet? Is it going to be Martha's? Is it going to be Sky Venture? Is it going to be, I don't know, Peddler's Daughter?
sometimes in Merrimack,
sometimes in Merrimack at Tomahawk Tavern. So usually it's a restaurant. You don't have to eat at the restaurant. You can come and we've had people just come and get water, and we just hang out Sunday nights at 6. And we talk about everything from Liberty stuff that's going on in New Hampshire to, composting, permaculture, what Avengers movie you hated. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And we get to meet, we've had people come from the Netherlands, from Montreal, from all over the world have come to Nashua Liberty. And so that's what I like about it, is we are getting to meet people from all walks of life, and I love it. It's absolutely fun.
I love that. And actually, I see the next slide here has to do with housing and renting and finance and all that stuff. And we'll delve into that a little bit. But, we were at a conference, or at least I was at a conference a couple of weekends ago with the Fentons, where it was sort of the crypto conference, right? And talking about the cryptocurrencies and sort of what the landscape is here for that. And part of my pitch was this notion of, I think every libertarian in the world should own a piece of New Hampshire, right? And how we can make that happen. And part of it is this sort of like meetups, getting to meet people, to have the people who are coming from the Netherlands or from Canada or from other places who maybe for whatever reason, mostly because our immigration laws are broken, can't make it yet. That for those folks, for people who are watching this who are like, but how can I contribute if I can't actually make it yet? We want as many people as possible to move, of course. But if you can't, maybe follow along with Porcupine Real Estate, follow what we're doing, come when you're in the state to connect with wonderful folks like these, but definitely start to consider how people can invest in our great state and in this like incredible historic thing we're doing. So you guys own your home, right?
We own our.
And you've had that for a long time, or?
We've been living here for 30
yeah, in this house for 30 years. And our oldest son just actually bought a house in Amherst. So he rents, or actually he owns it, but he has a mortgage, all that good stuff that young people have. But we're past all that.
Are you guys ready to downsize, and can I sell you another house?
She always wants to upsize, so
you are ready? Little tiny house?
No.
For the grandkids, Carla.
But first we have to have grandkids.
I see your vision and I approve. Patrick, why don't you walk us through sort of your home buying experience? Just like, if you were like a new person, maybe we rent first. Tell us how it went.
Yeah, so I think, we rented for probably almost 2 years, or maybe 2 years, and just found a very reasonable apartment on the west side. We knew we wanted to be close to basically the Quill. We wanted to be close to, in choosing Manchester, because we could have gone anywhere, right? Like we spent 5 months or so traveling around in an RV and just kind of checking out different places. And this is after having visited twice for a couple weeks at a time, doing the same thing, just kind of where do we want to be? Where do we want to be? For those 5 months that we were here, we just found ourselves regularly just going to Manchester for some meetup, for something going on, or something in the Manchester area where we're like, all right, we should just live there for now, right? So we rented an apartment for a couple of years, and that really gave us the time to be sure that we wanted to stay in Manchester, because we did have like those big dreams of, I'm gonna homestead something out in the middle of nowhere, but really do like that we made this choice for the reasons of all the amenities being right here. And then when it came time, we found a Free Stater realtor, and worked with a Free Stater on our mortgage, and all those things. That was really good, because there's such a there's so much, everyone wants to help you, especially like when I first came on the RV, like people were kind of like, you didn't really move yet, because you could just roll away tomorrow, like you're not actually here. But once you buy a house, it's like it's a big commitment, like you were just saying, like it's every libertarian should own a part of New Hampshire. Like it was that commitment to that we're going to stay here, we're going to commit to this move, and it's much more than just the rental. But because all the Free Staters, Porcupine Real Estate and others, everyone wants you to succeed, moving here was like, everyone's just giving you encouragement, and the realtors and everyone wants you wants it to work out, which was just a good feeling. Like everyone's definitely on my side on this choice and whatnot. They weren't like, they all had a passion. Everyone in the process, people I'm talking to, what should I move here? Should I not? Should I go somewhere else? Should I homestead? Should I should I buy this house or that house? Working with the realtor, everyone had that same kind of like, yeah, you could do it. Like, come on, join us, really commit, so it was a good feeling. I really liked it.
That's that was very much my experience as well. I actually also bought my house through PRE long before I joined, and yeah, the community really is, I think, the largest value proposition. Like, you feel like people are rooting for you, and candidly, we don't talk about this enough, but uprooting your life to move somewhere is a big deal. And so it's very important to reassure people who are thinking about it. Like, I highly recommend come a few times, like make sure it's your vibe. I would recommend, be a builder. If you're escaping stuff, maybe fix it before you get here, that kind of stuff. But you're right. The community really, sort of embraces and tries to lift and tries to help everyone to settle in and to make those, the right choice, to end up in the right place for themselves. And we should mention, the Merrimack Valley, Porcupines meetup, which still takes place at the Quill. That is a meetup that's been running close to 20 years, I guess, 18 years at this stage. And that's currently being done at the Quill. It's also been at restaurants over the years, much like the Nashua Social. But that is a monthly meetup on the first Saturday of the month. And we talk about, in fact, the Creams were just there for this past one. I hadn't seen you guys at one of those in a while, but sort of what's coming up. And I remember on Saturdays, I was vastly overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that is happening. So the groundwork's been laid, and I would love to see more reinforcements. So sort of get this sense. So I want to make sure, we keep people excited about what is so great about what we're doing here, which brings me to a favorite topic for all of us, taxes and politics.
Oh, good times.
Creams, why don't you tell us some of the top reasons New Hampshire is awesome in terms of taxes?
Well, there's no sales tax. There's no income tax. Those two come to mind immediately.
No capital gains tax.
No capital gains tax. No interest and dividends is tapered to zero in 2026. That's a really big deal. I will tell you, when I go on the road, folks are like, what now?
I think they moved it up. I think it's 2025. Am I wrong?
I mean, sooner?
Yeah, they moved it sooner. I don't think it's 2026 anymore. I think they moved it to 2025. So it'll be gone by then.
2030.
Right. So, and obviously, we do have property taxes. So people always think like, well, they're going to get you somewhere, and that's certainly true. It's not that our property taxes they're not cheap, But New Hampshire's been, rated as like one of the most tax efficient states in the country. So overall tax burden is still low. You just get to see it. It's right there in your face. It's not hidden through, 5 different sources. It means that, it makes it harder for politicians to drive your taxes up, because it's something that it's not just hidden in your paycheck that gets taken out before you ever see the money.
Yes, yes, we all get a little feisty around property tax time, which is good. And tell folks just briefly, like, what is the NHLA? Because that does sort of tie in with the taxes and politics and all of that.
So full disclosure, I am the chair of the NHLA. New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is what NHLA stands for. And New Hampshire Liberty Alliance, that's my favorite. I guess it's political. I don't think of it that way because we're nonpartisan, but it's my favorite organization in the state of New Hampshire. The NHLA is, I think, very hugely responsible for keeping New Hampshire free. And so what we do is we review all of the bills that are going through the State House in New Hampshire every year. We evaluate them as to whether they're pro-liberty, anti-liberty, or neutral. We tell the legislators at the State House and the senators how to vote on those bills if they want to keep liberty in New Hampshire. And then we watch how they vote, and we score them from A+ to constitutional threat. So, and then they all want, well, they don't all want, but most of them, I'm not even sure if it's most, but a lot of them want to be liberty legislators.
100 of them or so.
100 or so want to be liberty legislators. And so they are, vying for that. And I do think it puts pressure on, everybody in the State House, because we've heard it. We get that feedback. And so we know that NHLA is making a difference. So yeah, that's NHLA in a very quick nutshell.
All volunteer.
All volunteer, nonpartisan. Yeah.
All volunteer, nonpartisan, as we like to do it. I mean, we all call it different things. I like to talk about human action, but it really is just all of us like working really hard to try and keep New Hampshire awesome, I guess is the short version.
Yeah.
Patrick, how about like any favorite politics or taxes story, something we should know? I know that's a leading broad question. You're on mute.
The way you phrased it is if I might have a favorite tax or something.
No, or a non-favorite tax, or
my least favorite tax or tax story. I don't know. So I mean, kind of related. I'm in construction and have been for 15+ years. And I came from California, and when I left, there's probably more now. There were 76 construction specialty trade licenses. So you need a license to paint, you need a license to roof, you need a license to build single family, you need a different license to build multifamily. Here in New Hampshire, there's no license for anything I do unless I was building a 3-family or bigger. So I do landscape design, which is some structural construction with decks, but they didn't require me to go through any licensing process for any of this stuff, which is the way I think it should be. Libertarians, I have 5 stars on every rating platform. It's like you can. That system works, because people will almost joke, like not almost, they'll seriously joke about it, like, oh, what, Yelp's going to replace it? It's like, Yelp is a way better solution. Not saying Yelp's great. It's still a way better solution than the licensing regime that's right now, that doesn't help anyone. It doesn't save anyone. It doesn't stop any fraud or anything. It's like, because the criminals will fake a license, and the criminals will, it's just, so I like that they didn't even, they don't even try that here. There's generally the licensing has just gotten better since I got in here. Not related to what I do, but in a lot of fields, there's just this reciprocity thing, or universal, whatever, I forget how they phrased it. But I guess that kind of goes into taxes and politics. It's just that the regulation for people that just want to work it's not so much here. It's not so overbearing, which for a libertarian, like that kind of stuff can just shut me down. Like if I have a business idea and they're like, okay, well then here's all the regulation you need to do, and here's all the taxes you need to pay, and better hire 10 lawyers. Like, it's just like, all right, never mind. I won't help the world with my new idea. I'm just gonna do something else. So it's nice to have, at least in the field I'm in, not so many regulations, and be able to just jump right in and be like, hey, I know how to do this. I don't need to go have the state stamp it,
Right. And honestly, it's not like any of those regulations really solve the problems, right? Like I mean, there are lots of licensed doctors who kill their patients, you know? So it really just becomes a barrier to entry, which then causes more people to be poorer because it's harder to provide and to do jobs and to get ahead in life. But that is a lecture for another day. I am going to move to the next slide, which I believe is education, and I'm going to throw this one to Patrick first, because you have a school-age son. Maybe talk a little bit about sort of what that landscape looked like for you guys.
I do. My son's 12 right now, and like I said, we've been here for 6 years. So he was 6 when we moved. We started off homeschooling, then we went to a private Montessori for a while, and then with COVID times, well, then we did a different private Montessori, and then with COVID times, we just stopped all that because even the private schools, I know it was worse in other states, but even the private schools here were still doing all the ridiculous stuff, and we just didn't want that for them, and we didn't look back. You know, we just made a life choice that we were going to work harder, make it work, so that we could, you know, my wife could stay home with him and homeschool him. And then she joined the Latitude Learning Resources Center, Latitude Learning Resource Center. She teaches there now. She teaches a number of classes. Obviously, my son's in them, and yeah, it's that, and that's a great like environment and resource. It's a co-op, and it's generally not like core reading, writing, arithmetic stuff, but it's like add-ons to those or supplementary classes or just fun classes or
Yeah, I have to tell you, Mario will tell me about classes, and I'm like, man, I want to go back to school.
yes,
Just
I want to take that class. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like, so she did one that was like kind of like a history of Japan, but it was called How to Be a Ninja, and you know, it had stuff. It was for littler kids, so it had a lot of stuff that to engage them in physical activities while also learning about some of the history, food, all sorts of things. And then with another free stater, my son took a class, a shooting class. I was proud that he was what I heard, he was the only one that brought his own rifle to the class. So, but yeah, so the instructor had rifles. They went to ranges and they shot 22 rifles and I think maybe pistols as well. But yeah, the kind of thing that you just wouldn't get in probably a lot of other homeschool co-ops, but also definitely not in the local Montessoris or especially not the government schools.
Yeah, and down in Nashua, I mean, Latitude is in your area, I believe, right?
Dairy.
In
Yeah,
Derry, and then I mean,
yeah,
Nashua has some colleges. Don't you guys have some colleges? Manchester, I know, has like an art school. We have like up in Concord, which is actually part of the Merrimack Valley. There's a trade school. There's a law school. There are universities. There's St. Anselm's over in Goffstown. That's a Catholic university that you know, has very good programs, and several Free Staters have either taught there or served there or, you know, worked in departments. What is the landscape look like in Nashua for homeschooling, unschooling?
So I guess we do have, I think, at least 2 charter schools in the greater area. We have Academy for Science Design and Micro Nation Academy, I think it is. So yeah, actually one of the, you know, it's actually been several activists throughout the years who have been really big in homeschooling. You know, many years ago, the homeschooling laws were not great in New Hampshire. And one of the strong activists who used to be a volunteer for the NHLA, lives right here in Nashua. She homeschooled her kids. So, you know, we actually ended up, you know, our kids are grown now and even out of college, but they actually went to public school, and you know, we're bad libertarians, but you know, I will say, like our oldest son, you know, he was I think it was in high school, and
he was a sophomore in high school.
Sophomore in high school, he had done a paper and had to basically present it live to the class, and it was a pro-gun paper. And then the weekend before he was supposed to go deliver that paper, the Newtown shooting occurred, and you know, Melissa's an NRA instructor. She's like, "Are you sure you want to go present that on Monday?" He's like, "Yes, I do." And so he went and he presented that paper, and he still, you know, still got an A+ on it. So you know, they're still government schools.
They are government schools, but they, you know, they heard him, they listened to him, and he got an A+ on that paper in his presentation. So I thought that was outstanding of our public,
Yeah.
schools, at least
Yeah,
of that
that's
teacher, for sure.
that is a great story, and I guess for folks who will be watching this, I think it's fair to say New Hampshire has a really broad landscape. There are options for parents, everything from, like super government run school to unschooling, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll just see on Facebook the families going out for these meetups, and they'll meet in that park we were describing at the start of the show, or down by the river here, or the myriad of options for people to do just great things. The Mill Yard Museum came up, there's Lego, like a
Mhm.
Lego village somewhere. There's just a lot of stuff for kids to do. And we, I don't think one can actually overstate the quality of living in New Hampshire. We really are incredibly fortunate. It feels like a little best kept secret. I think sometimes the old timey live free or diers are like, stop telling people about how cool it is here, and it's probably their most legitimate gripe. But there
Mhm.
are charter schools, there's home schools, there's government schools, community colleges, universities. The options are endless. There's even a giant robotics program
Yeah.
that Free Staters run. So really, for anyone who's thinking, I want to bring my family and I want to come join this amazing thing, the options are there.
I mean,
In
I
fact,
just
that
gotta,
leads us
yeah.
into sort of jobs and
Okay.
industries.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I
Thoughts
mean,
on that? I mean, I know you.
at the high school, I just want to say back to the schooling thing a little bit. Like at my kids' high school, I was amazed at, I mean, it was public school, I'll grant you, but they could take vet tech courses, they could take EMT courses, cosmetology. There was a whole, so if you're not necessarily a college bound student at these schools, at least at the high school level, they had courses in stuff that I never had access to. And I was amazed, and I was sitting there going, okay, I want to go back to high school and I want to take, these things, those interested me. So I think it speaks to this like job market, right? So if you wanted to become an EMT, you can start that in high school, like here. I don't know about anywhere else, but yeah, there's all kinds of jobs too.
Yeah, so in terms of jobs, I mean, there's definitely, Fidelity, there's BAE, there's a lot of tech work around here, and I mean that's sort of one thing. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not quite sure. People come to our meetups, and like people who are in tech almost never have a problem finding a job. I have a hard time, helping people outside of tech, not because the jobs aren't there, it's just it's not the area I really know very well. But we have friends who've commuted into Massachusetts for jobs because they might be into biotech, and they go down there. There's within maybe a half hour to a 45-minute commute, pretty much any job you might want to find, you're going to be able to find it.
I mean, we have 2 hospitals in Nashua. So if you're in the, that medical fields, there's 2 hospitals here. There's a multitude of schools. So if you wanted to do teaching, anything in education, that's available. And then like the tech jobs, there's Oracle, there's DECA, there's all kinds of, businesses here too.
Yeah, and so I always tell people, definitely go on to the big boards, the Monsters, the
Mhm.
Indeeds. I mean, sometimes I'll just for the heck of it kind of go and type in software engineer with like a salary and then see, and I'll be like, oh, here are 300 jobs that, anyone could get like this, right? New Hampshire, in fact, has I think the lowest unemployment in the US. I mean, it may not currently be, but I want to say it's around 3%, maybe even 2.9. So jobs are available. People are actually quite desperate. I will also say for anyone who's watching this with the trades, the
Mhm.
North Country, which I know is not the gamut of this particular, but honestly, even down here, I mean, and Patrick, tell me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of like we need plumbers, we need people
Mhm.
who understand fractions. That is fancy geometry math that I can't do. But what's your sense of the landscape for jobs, Patrick?
I mean, definitely if someone wants to get into trades here, there's a lot of opportunity. I think trades are always for someone like me that also has entrepreneurial spirit, like it's like trades are an easy one because it's something I'm good at, but also you can build a whole business out of, right? It's not necessarily a one-man shop kind of thing, but it can be. Like, it can just be like, I'm an electrician, especially with this new license reciprocity thing. It could be that you come in with your license from Arizona and you just start selling, your electrical services or your plumbing services. Yeah, so the market, I mean, like the people I hire, like the people well, so first of all, when I hire, I only hire free staters. So my company, we're like 5 people and we're all free staters. And then I take on for the summer a few more. And those are usually new movers or free staters, kind of entry level people. And the market though I see with all the people like I subcontract, like surveyors and electricians and whatnot, is just like they all have big backlogs. It's not like me. Like, it's just like, if there might be people out there that can, like, get to your thing like next week or something like that. It's kind of like, I don't know if I trust that, right? Like, such a competitive, like, there's so much demand right now, not enough people servicing it, that I think the normal is that if someone says, oh, like if they said 2 weeks, it might be like, okay, you might be pretty good. But like the more normal response is like, it's like 1 or 3 months out to get anything going. And so that's just an opportunity though for the people that actually want to build a business in this. Of course, for the people that want to get a house built or something like that, it's a roadblock. But if you want to get into that, take advantage of that opportunity or bring your business here and realize that there's a lot of people that want to build and cannot find the right people to do it.
Do you want to take 2 secs to pimp Free State app?
Sure. So another thing I do on the side is for, I don't know, over a decade now, I've been running a online libertarian directory, and it is called Free State App, freestate.app. It does have a calendar of events, but the main feature is the business directory. So this is especially good for new movers. I don't know if I can screen share, but doesn't matter.
Oh God, don't make this harder.
Yeah, no, I don't want to make it harder. I can just show you. It's a good looking app, and the main feature, if you click on Endeavors, you just get a list of all the businesses that Free Staters have. It's not all of them. It's just the ones I've been able to get to list them on here, which is like 70 or 60 or something. It's a decent amount. So there's multiple electricians, I think multiple plumbers, clothing stores, convenience stores, multiple carpenters, of course, blogs and Independence Inn and all sorts of things on there. And it's searchable, it's got categories, and it's got a map. So you can find out which ones are close to you. You can find out certain categories. If you're looking for lodging, I can click on the lodging one. And these are all, like I said, all offered by Free Staters. And so lodging, I can see there's 5 listings in lodging. 4 of them are kind of like Airbnb getaway ones, and the other one's Independence Inn. So I go on here, I get a notification every time something new gets listed, including Jeff's Sunday social. Yeah. Thank you for listing that on there. And it's always the businesses though, to me, are like just so interesting when someone lists something. I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't know there was someone. Maybe I didn't know the person. Maybe I don't. You got to remember, there's thousands of us. It's like I don't know everyone. And so someone lists something, I'm like, I didn't know that there was anyone doing that thing. That's so cool, General stores that I didn't know were owned by Free Staters, all sorts of stuff like that, where you're like, yeah, it makes sense. People have moved to that town, they started businesses, and now I can find them. And part of the whole goal with the Free State app, besides making it easier to find your electrician and keep it in the community, was to just find each other, So if I find your business on here, and especially if it's something I need, I can give it a call. Or if it's like a convenience store, maybe I'll just go out of my way to like shop there and say hi and be like, hey, owner of this convenience store, I've never met you, but I'm another Free Stater, and like I found you on this app, and just make those connections.
Yeah, no, and that is vital. We're building out a resource for everyone, and that brings me to the slide of resources and tips. I think we've talked about some of them. A really important one for folks to know about is there's a myriad of information on porcupinerealestate.com. There are breakdowns of regions. There are these cool little tours of different parts of New Hampshire. You can like jump in the car and go here and go do this adventure. So don't lose sight of all the resources and all the things that have come before, that have been created, that are here, that are supposed to make it much, much easier for the people who are coming. You know, we're kind of all maybe the initial pioneers, were the lunatics who, you know, put on the space helmet and went to the planet first, and now we've terraformed a little bit, and now we're like, hey, we just need more folks to come join us over here in the great Free State. I'm going to look at what else we have. I guess I'm throwing it open to questions. If anyone wants to know more, obviously porcupinerealestate.com, great resource, Free State app we just heard about, NHLA. So, you know, people are like, hey, where can I learn more about you, Carla? And how can I have you sell me a house or buy me a house? Reach out to me at carla@porcupinerealestate.com. And everyone should come in October so that we can have a fantastic time, showcase the best of, you know, this live free or die state. It's really special, and we want more people to come and come build this, you know, America 2.0. Anyone for last thoughts before we end this webinar?
No, thank you, Carla, for having us.
Thank you,
No,
Carla.
thank you guys
Yeah.
so much. And
Thank you, Porcupine Real Estate.
porcupinerealestate.com. Yeah. And genuinely, thank you all, because I think what's really important for people to understand when they're watching this later or whatever is, you know, we're just all ornery people who are incredibly passionate about making sure that New Hampshire, which is a great, wonderful state with an incredible quality of living, it's a wonderful place for families, for singles, for people, their jobs, their houses. We need a little more houses. We're working on that. But really, you know, don't let anything hold you back. Come see what it's about. Come meet the people, these wonderful folks, and let us know how we can help you guys get here to the Free State and help us build the next phase. So thank you all so much for joining me. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Sounds good.
Bye.